Before we get started, my voice may sound a little rough today, but it's the first day I've been able to speak at any volume. I've been in the hospital, my lungs aren't doing too good, but they're still going. Sorry if it gets difficult to understand at certain points, but on to our presentation.
For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, and to him Abraham apportioned a 10th part of everything. He is first, by translation of his name, King of Righteousness, and then he is also King of Salem, that is, King of Peace. He is without father or mother or genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life.
I've seen some recent discussion against the faith bringing up Melchizedek. They will use our scripture to somehow contrast this kingly priest with Jesus. But the question remains, just who in the heck was Melchizedek? Now, I'm a sucker for chronology, so let's start in Genesis. Let's look at Genesis 14:18. Here we see Melchizedek, the king of Salem, bringing out bread and wine, and he blessed Abram. Let's break down the names. Melchizedek was a priest and a king, and his name means King of Righteousness, and King of Salem means King of Peace. Now, what was this priestly king doing? He distributed the bread and wine, prefiguring of the Eucharist, and then he blessed Abram and blessed God. Then Abram gave him a 10th of what he had. It's already easy to see what's going through the minds of the authors of the epistles seeing this, but let's continue to the contrast of priests. In Exodus 30:30, Aaron is anointed as a priest, starting the Levitical priesthood. We have a fixed beginning of an imperfect priesthood of men who will fail and die, but still act as priests. Now let's move to Psalm 110. This psalm was quoted by Jesus Christ in Luke 20. What is interesting is we see the psalm also mention Melchizedek. Jesus sees himself as his very figure, who is a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So now we have a connection to Jesus and from the words of Christ himself. Of course, the apostles would see this as well. The book of Hebrews speaks quite a lot on priesthoods, and of course this means Melchizedek was going to be all over. Looking at chapter 5, we see Jesus is appointed as this priest by God, and quotes the psalm we were looking at as well as mentioning the baptism of Christ. In the next chapter, we see Jesus is forever the high priest after the order of Melchizedek. And then Hebrews 7 discusses Melchizedek, saying all that I said in the beginning. But I intentionally waited until now to explain verse 3. What does it mean saying Melchizedek was without father or mother, or having no beginning or end of days? As the next line shows, but resembling the Son of God, he continues a priest forever. Essentially, what's being said is Melchizedek was a prefiguring of Christ, as we see littered through the Old Testament. We see prefigurements of Christ everywhere because it was all about his coming. Melchizedek, as a king talking to Abram, was a prefigure of Christ who was to come and be the fulfillment of that priesthood forever. And that is who Melchizedek is. The Old Testament is full of shadows of what is to come through Jesus. Everything we see points to Jesus. We see hints of what Jesus did, is doing, and will do from Genesis to Malachi. It's always been about the eternal Son and the repairing of our relationship with the Lord. If you have any questions, leave a comment or you can message me. I always try to respond for as long as I can until I move on. And as always, God bless you.